Be me, 28 years old working as a software developer at a mid-sized tech company. Life is good, decent salary, my own apartment, finally adulting successfully after years of ramen and student loans. Company hires a new project manager named Veronica, who immediately sets her sights on me for reasons I cannot comprehend. She's objectively attractive, but has the personality of a character from a CW drama, all manufactured drama and forced quirks. First week, she's asking me about my relationship status during stand-up meetings, which is wildly inappropriate. So Anon, any special someone in your life? Everyone stares at their laptops uncomfortably. Just focusing on work right now. Hope that ends the conversation, but know deep down it will not. She starts finding excuses to come to my desk, bringing me coffee I did not ask for, commenting on my anime figurines like she understands the cultural significance of limited edition Evangelion merchandise. Oh, I love anime. I've seen like 3 episodes of Naruto. She picks up my signed Cowboy Bebop poster like it's a common poster from Target. My coworker Jake witnesses this and texts me immediately. Dude, she wants you bad. I know, and I need an exit strategy that does not involve HR paperwork or changing jobs. Watch her reorganize my desk without permission. Week 2, and Veronica's intensity increases to concerning levels that would probably violate several workplace conduct policies if anyone bothered to enforce them. She starts scheduling unnecessary one-on-one meetings to discuss project synergy, which is not a real thing that requires 45-minute meetings. During these meetings, she asks increasingly personal questions, like she's conducting some kind of romantic interrogation rather than discussing sprint planning. What's your type? Do you like ambitious women? I'm very ambitious. She makes eye contact that lasts approximately 15 seconds too long. My fight or flight response activates, but I'm trapped in a conference room with HR-approved motivational posters judging my cowardice. After that meeting, Jake corners me in the break room with a solution that seems brilliant in the moment, but will obviously cause problems later. Just tell her you're gay, man. Clean exit, no hard feelings, problem solved. He's microwaving fish, which should also be an HR violation. That seems like a terrible idea that will definitely backfire in ways I cannot currently predict, but will definitely regret. Have the self-awareness of someone who will ignore their own advice. It's foolproof. Just commit to the bit for like a week and she'll move on. Jake has the confidence of someone who has never had a plan actually work. Against every instinct telling me this is stupid, I decide to execute Jake's plan during the next team lunch at this generic downtown restaurant that serves overpriced sandwiches. Veronica sits directly next to me despite there being 7 other available seats that would provide appropriate personal space boundaries. She starts the usual routine of touching my arm while laughing at things that are not jokes, so I make my move with all the acting ability of a CW drama extra. You know, Veronica, I really appreciate your interest, but I should probably mention I'm actually gay. Have the confidence of someone lying very poorly. The entire table goes silent like I just revealed I'm actually 3 possums in a trench coat rather than a regular human software developer. Jake chokes on his sandwich and has to leave the table to cough, which is already a bad sign for the structural integrity of this plan. Veronica's face goes through several emotions: surprise, confusion, then settles on what I can only describe as competitive determination, which should have been my first warning. Oh my god, that's amazing. I'm like super supportive of the LGBTQ community. We should totally be best friends now. She has the enthusiasm of someone who just unlocked a new achievement. This is not the reaction I expected, and I'm already sensing that my exit strategy has somehow made things significantly worse. The following week, Veronica decides that since I'm gay, we are now best friends with no personal boundaries whatsoever, which is somehow more invasive than her previous romantic interest. She starts inviting me to things that gay men stereotypically enjoy, according to someone whose entire knowledge comes from questionable TV shows and outdated stereotypes. We should go shopping together. You can help me pick outfits. Gay guys are so good at fashion, as if my hoodies and cargo pants represent the pinnacle of style. I'm a software developer who owns 7 identical black t-shirts. I'm not qualified to provide fashion advice to anyone. Protest, but she has already decided my expertise. She also starts asking me for relationship advice about guys she's interested in, which means I have to pretend to care about her dating life as her supposed gay best friend. So there's this guy at my gym. Should I approach him or wait for him to notice me? This question comes during a meeting that was scheduled to discuss API integration. Maybe focus on actual gym activities rather than treating it like a dating app in physical form. Try to provide advice that might make her leave me alone. Jake finds this entire situation hilarious and offers zero helpful solutions while eating popcorn at his desk like he's watching a comedy show unfold in real time. You created this monster. You're living in a sitcom of your own design. He says this between handfuls of popcorn with the schadenfreude of someone not suffering consequences. 1 month into this disaster, and Veronica announces she's setting me up on a date with her cousin Marcus because she knows he's my type, based on criteria she completely invented. He's tall, smart, works in finance, and loves The Witcher 3. You two will be perfect together. She has the matchmaking confidence of someone who has never successfully set up anyone. I appreciate the thought, but I'm really not looking to date right now. Try to decline, but she has already given Marcus my phone number without consent. Marcus texts me that evening. Hey, I heard we're being set up. Want to grab coffee and pretend this is going well so she stops bothering us? Message reads like he's also being forced into this situation by Veronica's persistence. This man is clearly a genius who understands the assignment, so I agree to this fake date to maintain my fake identity in this increasingly complicated web of deception. We meet at a coffee shop, and Marcus immediately reveals he's also straight and also being forced into situations by Veronica, who apparently does this to everyone she knows. She's been my cousin for 28 years, and I still haven't figured out how to say no to her. He orders an espresso that costs more than reasonable. We spend 2 hours complaining about Veronica's meddling and genuinely have a good time as friends, which makes the situation even more ridiculous than it already was. We should pretend to date for a few weeks just to get her off our backs. Realize I'm now in a fake relationship to support my fake sexuality. At this point, I'm living in a rom-com written by someone who never learned how to resolve plot threads properly. The fake dating arrangement with Marcus requires establishing a believable backstory for when Veronica inevitably asks intrusive questions about our relationship timeline. We're at a bar drafting our fake relationship lore, like we're creating characters for a tabletop RPG campaign, complete with meeting story and relationship milestones. We met at a bookstore, bonded over both reaching for the same copy of Dune, realized we had chemistry. Marcus writes this down on a napkin like a script. That's basically the plot of You've Got Mail, but with less email and more science fiction. Point this out while drinking beer that tastes like bad decisions. Fine. We met at the coffee shop where we're currently planning this fake relationship. That's at least partially true. He revises with the pragmatism of someone who knows lying requires staying close to truth. We established that we've been on 5 dates. Our favorite date was the museum, where we saw the Impressionist exhibit, and we're taking things slow because we're both professionals with demanding careers. This is more planning than I put into actual relationships. Marcus observes while reviewing our notes, like he's studying for an exam. Same, I once dated someone for 3 months without knowing their last name, but I can tell you our fake anniversary date down to the hour. Have self-awareness about my priorities. Jake texts me asking how the fake date went, and I send him a picture of our relationship planning notes. He responds with multiple crying laughing emojis and zero helpful advice. You're creating a fake relationship contract. This is advanced level commitment to avoiding conflict. Jake texts with his usual blend of mockery and accurate observation. Week 2 of fake dating. Marcus, and we have to attend Veronica's birthday party together as an official couple, which means meeting her entire extended family who will definitely have opinions. My family is very Italian and very opinionated. Prepare for questions about marriage and children from people you've never met. Marcus warns me while we're driving to the party in his car. I'm going to be interrogated by your entire family about our fake relationship. This is a nightmare scenario that I created for myself. Experience regret in real time. The party is at Veronica's parents' house, which is decorated with enough photos of family members to qualify as a museum exhibit about one specific family. Within 5 minutes of arriving, I'm cornered by an aunt who wants to know our entire relationship story, when we're getting married, and whether we want children. We're taking things slow, just seeing where it goes. Answer with the vagueness of someone who prepared exactly 0 answers for these questions, despite knowing they would be asked. Slow is good. My husband and I dated for 5 years before marriage. You need to make sure you're compatible. She has genuine warmth that makes me feel guilty about lying to her. Marcus rescues me from further interrogation by announcing we need to help set up the food table, which is apparently code for hiding in the kitchen and eating appetizers. Your aunt is very invested in our fake relationship timeline. Mention this while eating a meatball that probably cost more effort to make than it takes to eat. She's invested in everyone's relationship timeline. She maintains a spreadsheet of family relationship status and updates it quarterly. Marcus reveals this, which explains the intensity. We spend most of the party strategically avoiding prolonged conversations with family members while maintaining the appearance of being a couple through occasional hand-holding and standing close together. Veronica's mom approaches us with the kind of smile that suggests she's about to say something that will make this situation more complicated. I'm so happy Veronica introduced you two. Marcus hasn't brought someone to family events in years. You must be special. She has motherly approval that cuts through my soul with guilt. He's definitely special. Respond ambiguously because technically that statement is true, even though she thinks it means something it doesn't mean. The party continues, and I'm meeting cousins, uncles, family friends, all while maintaining a fake relationship that requires remembering details and being consistent with our backstory. One of Marcus's cousins is extremely drunk and starts asking uncomfortable questions about our intimate life, which neither of us prepared for during our planning session. So how's the bedroom situation? Are you guys compatible in that department? He has the social awareness of someone who has consumed significant alcohol. That's extremely personal and also none of your business. Marcus has the firmness of someone who has dealt with this cousin before. I'm just saying communication is important. My therapist says so. Drunk cousin continues like he's providing valuable relationship advice rather than being inappropriate. We escape to the backyard, where other cousins are playing cornhole and arguing about whether The Last of Us 2 is good or a betrayal of everything the first game stood for. It's objectively well made, but the story choices are divisive. Both things can be true. Contribute to the debate while tossing a beanbag. Finally, someone with a reasonable take. Everyone either loves it unconditionally or thinks it ruined their childhood. One of the cousins appreciates nuance. We end up spending an hour playing cornhole and debating video game narratives, which is infinitely more comfortable than pretending to be in a relationship with Marcus in front of his entire family. Marcus and I are actually winning the cornhole tournament when Veronica announces it's time for cake and everyone needs to come inside to sing happy birthday. Your family's actually cool. Mention this to Marcus while we're walking back inside. They're exhausting, but yeah, they're good people, which makes lying to them feel worse. He admits with the guilt that I've also been feeling throughout this event. After cake, Veronica insists on taking photos of everyone, including multiple photos of Marcus and me together as a couple, which will definitely come back to haunt me. You two are so cute together. I'm such a good matchmaker. Veronica repeats this for the 15th time this evening with the pride of someone who believes they've created something real. We take photos where we have to pose like an actual couple, arms around each other, smiling like we're happy, and I'm internally screaming about how deep this deception has become. These are going in the family album. Veronica's mom looks at the photos on her phone with genuine happiness about Marcus finding someone. The guilt intensifies to levels that should probably require intervention from a mental health professional. But instead, I just eat more meatballs and avoid eye contact. Finally, the party winds down and Marcus and I can leave, driving back to my apartment in silence as we both process the emotional weight of lying to his entire family. That was significantly worse than I anticipated. Break the silence once we're safely away from the house. My family really liked you, which makes this more complicated. They're going to ask about you at every future family event. Marcus has the realization that this fake relationship has long-term consequences. We need an exit strategy that doesn't involve me being the villain who broke your heart. Try to think of ways to end a fake relationship that his family is now emotionally invested in. Maybe we do a mutual breakup where we realize we're better as friends. That way nobody's the bad guy. Marcus has the diplomatic skills of someone who works in finance. We sit in my parking lot for another 30 minutes, planning our eventual fake breakup, which means we're now planning both the continuation and ending of a relationship that doesn't exist. This is the most effort I've ever put into a relationship, and it's completely fake. I should probably examine what that says about me. Have concerning self-awareness. 2 months into fake dating, Marcus and we're actually becoming legitimate friends who hang out regularly, playing video games and watching movies like normal people who aren't pretending to be in a relationship. We're playing Elden Ring at his apartment when Veronica texts both of us asking if we want to join her at some art gallery event that definitely sounds boring. Do we have to go? Ask Marcus while dying to Margit the Fell Omen for the 7th time because I refuse to learn attack patterns. Probably she'll get suspicious if her fake gay best friend and her cousin stop hanging out. He beats the boss because he bothered to level vigor like intelligent players do. I refuse to accept that vigor is important. I'm a glass cannon build that dies in 2 hits but does massive damage. Insist with the stubbornness of someone who enjoys suffering. You do 0 damage when you're dead, though. That's the fundamental flaw in your strategy. Marcus points out logic that I continuously ignore. We pause the game and agree to attend the gallery event because maintaining the fake relationship requires public appearances, and Veronica has started tracking our couple activities. She has a spreadsheet of our dates. I saw it on her computer. Marcus reveals with the horror of someone who has witnessed their cousin's organizational obsession. That's not normal behavior. She's documenting our fake relationship like it's a research project. Wonder how deep Veronica's investment in this situation actually goes. Later that week, we're at Marcus's place having a co-op gaming session playing Baldur's Gate 3 when his actual friend shows up unannounced, which creates an immediate problem for our fake relationship narrative. Hey Marcus, didn't know you had company. Is this the boyfriend Veronica mentioned? His friend Trevor looks between us with the curiosity of someone who might notice inconsistencies. Yeah, this is Anon. Anon, this is my friend Trevor from college, who apparently doesn't believe in calling before showing up. Marcus introduces us with the smoothness of someone who has gotten better at lying. Trevor stays for an hour, and we have to maintain couple behavior while playing video games, which means sitting closer than necessary and occasionally making comments that suggest relationship intimacy. You two are cute together, but also weirdly competitive about this game. Trevor watches us argue about whether to kill or spare a minor NPC. That's because Marcus makes morally questionable choices and then tries to justify them with utilitarian philosophy. Argue while my character takes the moral high ground. It's a video game where the choices don't matter. Why are you playing a lawful good character when you could have fun being evil? Marcus has the perspective of someone who understands games as separate from reality. After Trevor leaves, we both sit in exhausted silence because maintaining a fake relationship in front of people who don't know it's fake is emotionally draining in ways we didn't anticipate. We should probably establish boundaries about how much effort this fake relationship requires. Marcus has the wisdom of someone who is getting tired of the performance. Agreed. I vote we limit fake dating activities to events where Veronica is present, and we're just friends the rest of the time. Propose with the hope of making this situation more manageable. We shake on it like we're negotiating a business contract for our fake relationship, which feels appropriate given that Marcus works in finance and probably negotiates actual contracts regularly. At the gallery event, Veronica introduces us to her friend Sarah, who is apparently a painter with an art style that can be described as abstract confusion. Sarah is actually cool though, makes jokes about how pretentious art galleries are while standing in one, has strong opinions about which Studio Ghibli film is superior. Princess Mononoke is peak Miyazaki, and I will fight people on this. She has the passion of someone who has definitely fought people on this before. That's a strange way to say Spirited Away, but I respect your objectively incorrect opinion. Counter and she laughs, which apparently signals the beginning of actual chemistry happening. Spirited Away is good, but it's entry-level Miyazaki. Princess Mononoke has better themes, superior animation, and a protagonist who actually changes throughout the narrative. Sarah has the confidence of someone who has rehearsed this argument. Spirited Away has better character development for Chihiro, more interesting world building, and Haku is objectively the superior love interest compared to Ashitaka. Fire back while Marcus watches our debate with amusement. We spend 20 minutes arguing about Miyazaki films while completely ignoring the actual art gallery we're supposed to be viewing, and Veronica seems pleased that her friends are getting along. Sarah eventually shows us her paintings, which are actually impressive, abstract pieces that use color theory in ways that suggest she knows what she's doing, unlike most gallery artists. These are legitimately good. The composition and color choices show understanding of actual artistic principles, rather than random paint throwing. Examine a piece that uses blues and purples effectively. Thank you. Most people just say interesting, which is art gallery code for I don't understand this but want to seem cultured. Sarah appreciates actual analysis. We exchange phone numbers for the stated purpose of continuing our Miyazaki debate, but there's definitely undertones of interest that complicate my fake gay situation significantly. Marcus notices this immediately and elbows me with the subtlety of a person who has zero subtlety. Dude, she's into you. I'm supposed to be gay and dating you. I cannot possibly pursue this. Whisper back while Veronica talks to someone about her new meditation app. Your fake sexuality is blocking you from a real connection. This is a problem of your own creation. Marcus observes with accuracy that I don't appreciate. Later that evening, Sarah texts me a meme about Miyazaki films that suggests she spent time after the gallery looking up content specifically to continue our conversation. This is a good sign that she's interested. But also you're supposed to be in a relationship with me, so this is complicated. Marcus reads over my shoulder like a nosy friend. I'm aware that I've created an impossible situation that cannot be resolved without revealing I'm a liar who makes terrible decisions. Type a witty response to Sarah's meme. We text back and forth for 2 hours that night about anime. transitioning from Miyazaki to a debate about whether Cowboy Bebop or Samurai Champloo is the superior Shinichiro Watanabe work. Cowboy Bebop has better music, more cohesive narrative structure, and superior character development. Argue while lying in bed at midnight. Samurai Champloo has better fight choreography, more interesting historical setting, and the hip-hop aesthetic is more unique than jazz. Sarah counters with points I can't actually dispute. By the end of the conversation, we've moved from anime to talking about her band, her record store job, and her collection of vintage manga that apparently rivals collector status. I have first edition volumes of Akira that I probably shouldn't admit I own because people will judge how much I spent. She texts with the vulnerability of someone sharing their expensive hobby. I spent 4 months' salary on limited edition Evangelion figures, so I'm in no position to judge anyone's collection spending. Admit with the camaraderie of fellow collectors. We finally say goodnight at 2 in the morning and I'm lying awake, thinking about how I'm developing real feelings while trapped in a fake relationship that prevents me from pursuing anything real. Marcus texts me, "You're catching feelings, aren't you?" He has the observation skills of someone who has been watching this develop. Shut up. Respond with the maturity of someone who knows he's right but refuses to admit it. Sarah starts texting me after the gallery event, sending memes about anime and gaming that are actually funny rather than the forced humor people use when pretending to have interests. She recommends manga I have not read yet, argues with me about whether Chainsaw Man's ending was satisfying, tells me about this ramen place that apparently changes lives. Marcus watches this develop with the entertainment of someone who can see the disaster approaching from miles away, but chooses not to warn anyone. So you're catching feelings for Sarah while pretending to be gay and dating me. Your situation has evolved into peak comedy. Marcus observes while we're playing Baldur's Gate 3 co-op. I'm aware that I've created an impossible situation that cannot be resolved without revealing I'm a liar who makes terrible decisions. My character dies because I was distracted. Just tell Veronica the truth. Rip the band-aid off. What's the worst that could happen? Marcus has the optimism of someone who will not face consequences. She could tell HR, make work awkward, never speak to me again, tell Sarah I'm a lying idiot. Literally so many bad outcomes. List while contemplating my life choices. Sarah invites me to this underground concert venue to see some indie band I have never heard of, and I really want to go, but the situation is complicated. Bring Marcus, make it a friend thing. I promise my band doesn't suck too badly. She texts, which reveals she's in a band, which makes her even cooler. Marcus agrees to be my wingman fake boyfriend, which is a confusing role, but he's committed to helping at this point because we're actual friends now. The concert venue is in a basement that probably violates fire codes, and the band is actually incredible, playing this mix of punk and alternative that makes me wish I learned instruments. Sarah plays bass and sings backup vocals while making eye contact with me throughout the set, which definitely means something, but I'm too emotionally stunted to process it properly. After the show, she introduces me to her bandmates, who are all cool alternative people, who definitely know I'm not actually gay based on body language alone. Your boyfriend is terrible at pretending to be into dudes. The guitarist whispers to Sarah loud enough for me to hear, because musicians have zero filter. Marcus finds this hilarious and buys everyone drinks while I contemplate whether everyone has known this entire time, and I'm the only idiot who thought the act was convincing. Sarah pulls me aside near the merch table where they're selling shirts and stickers that I will definitely buy to support local artists and also because I'm trying to impress her. So I'm going to be direct because life's too short. Are you actually dating Marcus, or is this some weird elaborate thing? She has the confidence of someone who already knows the answer. I could continue lying, but I'm tired, and also she's really cool, and I don't want to start a potential relationship with deception. I've learned nothing from this experience. It's a long, complicated story that makes me look like an idiot, but the short version is I'm not gay and not dating Marcus. Admit while waiting for her to rightfully think I'm insane. That's the weirdest thing I've heard this month, and I once saw someone argue that Sword Art Online is good, but I'm interested in the full story. She has curiosity rather than judgment. We go to a diner at 2 in the morning, and I explain the entire Veronica situation from the beginning, including every poor decision that led to this moment of confession. Sarah listens to the whole story while eating fries and drinking coffee, occasionally laughing at the particularly stupid parts, which is most of the story, honestly. So you created an elaborate fake identity to avoid one coworker's attention, got set up with her cousin, started fake dating him, and now you're here confessing to me. She summarizes accurately. When you say it like that, it sounds even more ridiculous than it felt living through it. Question every choice I've made in the past 3 months. It's objectively the dumbest thing I've heard, but also kind of endearing in a this person makes terrible decisions way. Sarah has a smile that suggests she's not running away screaming. So you're not immediately turned off by my disaster of a life? Ask with the hope of someone who has been living in chaos for too long. I'm a bassist in an indie band who works at a record store and argues about anime online. I'm not exactly making optimal life choices either. Fair assessment. We talk until 4 in the morning about music, anime, games, and life in general. And it's the most genuine conversation I've had since this whole situation started. You should probably tell Veronica the truth, though. This is going to explode eventually. Sarah has the wisdom of someone observing from outside the disaster. I know, but I've dug this hole so deep that coming clean feels impossible at this point. Admit while knowing she's absolutely right. The next day at work, I'm sleep deprived and running on coffee when Veronica corners me in the kitchen with news that makes everything infinitely worse. So I was thinking, since you and Marcus are so happy together, we should all move in together as roommates. She announces this like it's a normal suggestion that normal people make. My brain completely stops functioning as I try to process this new level of complication that I did not anticipate, despite anticipating many complications. That's a big step, and I don't think Marcus and I are ready for cohabitation. Stammer while pouring coffee and missing the cup slightly. Nonsense, it'll be great. We can have game nights and movie marathons. I already looked at apartments. She continues with the enthusiasm of someone planning something nobody agreed to. Text Marcus immediately. Emergency, Veronica wants us all to be roommates. The situation has escalated beyond containment. His response comes back instantly. What the fuck? I'm calling you right now. My phone rings approximately 3 seconds later. This is officially out of control. You need to tell her today before she signs a lease on our behalf. Marcus has the panic of someone who might actually become my roommate. I'm seeing Sarah tonight. I'll tell Veronica tomorrow, I promise. Commit to a timeline that feels terrifying but necessary. Jake overhears some of this conversation and laughs so hard he has to leave the room, offering zero support as usual despite this being partially his fault. That evening with Sarah, we're at the ramen place she recommended, and it's genuinely the best ramen I've had outside of that one trip to Tokyo 3 years ago. She tells me about her band's upcoming EP release, her collection of vintage manga from the 80s, her opinions on why modern superhero movies peaked with Logan and declined from there. Most MCU stuff is fine, but it's basically just competent mediocrity at this point. No risks, all formula. She perfectly describes my feelings about Phase 4. Finally, someone who understands that not every movie needs to set up 17 sequels. Feel more comfortable than I have in months. We end up back at her apartment where she shows me her manga collection that rivals my own, including some rare volumes of Berserk that cost more than reasonable. I spent 3 months' rent on first edition Berserk volumes, and I regret nothing. She carefully shows me her prized possessions. We're looking through her collection when she kisses me suddenly, and all the stress of the past 3 months temporarily disappears into this moment that feels right. I should probably mention I'm developing real feelings here, and not just finding your disaster life entertaining. Sarah has vulnerability that I appreciate. Same, you're the first person in a while who feels real rather than exhausting. Have more honesty than I've managed recently. We spend the rest of the night watching Cowboy Bebop because she's somehow never seen it, despite being a bassist, which is basically bassist malpractice. The next morning, I arrive at work with determination to finally tell Veronica the truth and end this ridiculous charade before it consumes my entire existence. Jake sees my face and immediately knows something significant is about to happen. You're telling her today, aren't you? Should I record this for posterity? Your support means everything in this difficult time. Respond with sarcasm while walking toward Veronica's desk with the confidence of someone walking toward their execution. Veronica is typing furiously on her laptop, probably looking at apartments for her roommate plan that nobody consented to except her. Hey Veronica, can we talk privately? There's something important I need to tell you. Begin with the shakiness of someone about to detonate their own life. We go to a conference room, and I take a deep breath before committing to honesty for the first time in 3 months. So I haven't been completely truthful about something, and I need to come clean because it's gotten way too complicated. Start while she looks confused. Are you breaking up with Marcus? I knew long distance was hard, even when you live in the same city. She completely misunderstands the situation. No, I mean yes, but also, I'm not actually gay. I made that up because I was uncomfortable with your attention, and Jake suggested it, and I'm an idiot. Blurred out in one run-on sentence. The silence that follows lasts approximately 15 years, according to my perception of time, while my brain screams at me for being such a disaster. Veronica's face goes through several emotions again: confusion, realization, anger, then settles on something that might be respect, which I absolutely did not expect. You created an elaborate fake identity, including a fake relationship with my cousin, just to avoid telling me you weren't interested. She states this as fact rather than question. Yes, and I recognize that was significantly more effort than just being direct. I have many regrets. Admit while waiting for her to murder me or call HR. She starts laughing, like genuinely laughing in a way that suggests she might not actually be angry, which seems impossible given the circumstances. That's the most ridiculous thing anyone has ever done to avoid me. I'm almost impressed by the commitment. Still laughing at my life choices. You're not mad? Have the surprise of someone who expected a much worse outcome than laughter. I'm annoyed you didn't just tell me directly, but also I respect the dedication to a bit. And honestly, Marcus told me 2 weeks ago. She reveals casually. What? Marcus told you why didn't you say anything? Sputter with the betrayal of someone who didn't know their fake boyfriend was a snitch. He felt bad about lying to family, and I thought it was funny watching you dig deeper. Also, I wanted to see how long you'd commit before cracking. She explains with shocking cruelty. So everyone knew except me that everyone knew? Realize I'm the only idiot who thought this was still working. Apparently, Marcus told Veronica everything 2 weeks ago because he felt guilty, and she decided to see how long I'd maintain the charade before breaking. The roommate suggestion was my final test to see if you'd finally tell the truth or if you'd actually move in with us. She admits with the evil genius energy of a villain. That's psychological warfare. You escalated to psychological warfare. Have the exhaustion of someone who has been played expertly. You started this by lying about your sexuality to avoid a conversation. I just provided entertainment value. She counters with logic that I cannot actually dispute. We sit in that conference room, and she makes me tell her the entire story, including the Sarah development, and she's genuinely entertained by the whole narrative. So you pretended to be gay, fake dated my cousin, caught real feelings for Sarah, and learned nothing about direct communication. She summarizes my growth accurately. I learned that I make poor decisions under pressure, and should probably see a therapist. Offer as my takeaway from this experience. Fair assessment. So are you actually dating Sarah now, or is that also some elaborate scheme? She has justified skepticism about my relationship status. That's real. She knows everything. She thinks I'm an idiot, but apparently finds it charming. Explain while hoping this is actually true. Well, I'm glad something good came from your disaster, and for the record, I was mostly just enjoying the attention. I wasn't actually that interested. She reveals casually. What? This whole thing? All this chaos? You weren't even actually into me? Have the frustration of someone who suffered for nothing. Turns out Veronica just enjoyed the attention and liked having someone to talk to at work. And I misread friendly interest as romantic interest because I'm bad at social cues. I thought we were just becoming work friends, but then you acted all weird and I found it entertaining to push boundaries. She explains with the remorselessness of someone who found my suffering amusing. So I created a fake identity to escape a situation that wasn't actually a threat. This is character development, but backward. Observe while questioning my perception of reality. We actually become real friends after this. The kind where she makes fun of me constantly, but also gives decent advice about how to not be a complete disaster. Jake thinks this entire resolution is anticlimactic, but also finds it hilarious that I suffered for a misunderstanding of my own creation. You're like a sitcom character who could resolve everything with one conversation, but chooses chaos instead. Jake eats his lunch that smells terrible. Marcus and I remain actual friends because we bonded over shared suffering in video game co-op sessions, which is apparently how male friendships form in your late 20s. Sarah and I start officially dating, and she never lets me forget about the time I pretended to be gay to avoid basic human communication. Remember when you created an elaborate lie instead of just saying not interested like a normal person? She brings this up at every opportunity to roast me. I'm never gonna live this down, am I? Already know the answer. Absolutely not. I'm telling our grandchildren about this. She has the commitment of someone who genuinely finds my failures endearing. 6 months later, and Sarah's band is releasing their EP, which I helped fund through a Kickstarter, despite her protest that I didn't have to. Your disaster life inspired 3 songs on this album, so technically you're a muse. She jokes while showing me the track listing that does not actually reference my situation. We're at her album release show, and Marcus brings a date who is actually a guy this time because he came out as bisexual, which apparently my chaos gave him courage to explore. Your fake gay arc helped me realize some things about myself, so thanks, I guess. Marcus has sincerity that makes me feel slightly better about everything. Veronica shows up with Jim Bro, who she's somehow still dating, despite his personality consisting entirely of macros and leg day. Never thought Jim Bro would last this long, whisper to Sarah while watching them actually seem happy together. Love is mysterious and also sometimes based entirely on physical attraction and nothing else. Sarah has the wisdom of someone who writes lyrics about relationships. Jake brought his girlfriend, who I've met exactly once, and seems confused about why everyone here knows each other through elaborate lies. So you all became friends because Anon pretended to be gay? She asks for clarification, like she's studying our group dynamics. Essentially, yes. We're held together by shared trauma and poor decision-making. Marcus explains accurately. Sarah's band plays an incredible set, and I'm watching from the front thinking about how this whole chaotic situation led to something actually good. Between songs, she dedicates one to the guy who took the most complicated route possible to ask me out, and everyone who knows the story laughs. After the show, we all go to that diner again at 2 in the morning because apparently that's our group tradition now. So what did we learn from this experience? Veronica facilitates like it's group therapy. That direct communication prevents elaborate lies that spiral out of control. Offer as my lesson that I probably won't actually apply in the future. That Anon makes terrible decisions, but they work out anyway through sheer luck, Jake adds helpfully. That sexuality is fluid, and sometimes fake relationships help you discover real things about yourself. Marcus contributes with genuine reflection. That bassists are apparently attracted to disaster humans. Sarah holds my hand across the table like Marcus once did, but this time it's real. We sit in that diner until 4 in the morning again, and I realize this group of people came together through my stupidity, but stayed together through actual connection. Same time next week, Sarah asks about our apparently regular diner sessions. Obviously, we need to discuss whether Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Super has better character development. Marcus proposes the next debate topic. That's not even a debate. Z is superior in every metric. Jake argues immediately. We're all tired and slightly drunk on exhaustion and friendship, and honestly, this worked out way better than it should have. 1 year later, and Sarah and I move in together into an apartment that doesn't include Veronica or Marcus as roommates. We decorated with posters from anime, games, and her band's tour dates, creating the most aggressively nerdy living space possible. Our apartment looks like a GameStop and Hot Topic had a baby. Sarah organizes her vinyl collection that takes up an entire wall. That's exactly the aesthetic we're going for. Set up my gaming PC in the corner we designated as my area. Veronica and Jim Bro got engaged, which surprised everyone, but they seemed genuinely happy in their relationship based entirely on physical fitness and protein. Marcus is dating someone he met at Pride after I convinced him to actually go and stop living through my fake gay experience. Thank you for being so bad at pretending to be gay that it made me want to do it correctly. Marcus said this at his housewarming party. Jake got promoted at work and now makes decisions that affect my daily life, which feels like cosmic punishment for something. The friend group still meets regularly for dinners, game nights, and arguing about which anime is actually good versus nostalgia. 2 years after the incident, and it's become the story everyone tells at parties when asked how our friend group formed. So there was this guy who pretended to be gay to avoid basic human interaction. Sarah begins every time. And then he fake dated his current friend Marcus, who is actually bisexual. Marcus continues, and the girl he was avoiding knew the entire time and was just messing with him, Veronica adds with pride. And somehow this disaster resulted in a functional friend group and a healthy relationship. Conclude while everyone laughs at my expense. Sarah's band got signed to a small indie label and is touring regionally, which I support by going to shows and buying excessive merchandise. I got promoted at work after Jake moved to a different team, and Veronica and I are actually good work friends who collaborate effectively. Marcus and his boyfriend are talking about moving in together, which is big progress from fake dating your cousin's coworker. Life turned out surprisingly well for someone who made every wrong decision possible in sequence. We're at a bar celebrating Sarah's band finishing recording their second album, when someone at the next table overhears our origin story and asks for clarification. Wait, so you two aren't actually together? The stranger asks Marcus and me with legitimate confusion. Never were. That was the whole point of the story. Marcus explains patiently. But you convinced his whole family you were dating for months. The stranger tries to understand the timeline. Correct. I attended multiple family events and was included in the family photo album. Add helpfully. That's the most elaborately stupid thing I've ever heard. The stranger observes with judgment that I completely deserve. That's what we tell him constantly. Jake chimes in from across the table where he's been listening to this conversation. Sarah puts her arm around me, and kisses my cheek. But his elaborate stupidity is endearing. That's one word for it. Veronica shares a look with Marcus that suggests they're remembering all the chaos. The stranger buys us a round of drinks because apparently our dysfunction is entertaining enough to warrant free alcohol. To making terrible decisions that somehow work out. Marcus toasts with his beer raised. To friends who support you through your self-created disasters. Sarah adds with her glass. To people who are bad at communication but good at commitment. Veronica contributes while looking at me specifically, to me learning absolutely nothing from this experience and continuing to make questionable choices. Finish the toast with self-awareness. We drink and the conversation shifts to debating whether the Resident Evil 4 remake is better than the original or if it loses something in the updated graphics. The original has charm that the remake can't replicate. The tank controls were part of the experience. Jake argues with the position of someone who played it when it released. The remake has better gameplay, improved story, and doesn't make me fight the camera constantly. Sarah counters with the logic of someone who values quality of life improvements. This debate continues for 30 minutes, and we solve nothing, but everyone has strong opinions they will not compromise on. Eventually, we leave the bar and walk to the diner that has become our traditional late-night spot for continuing conversations and eating terrible food. Remember when we first came here at 2 a.m. after your concert? Mention this to Sarah while we're walking. When you confessed that you weren't actually gay, and I somehow found it endearing rather than a red flag? Sarah recalls with the fondness of someone who chose to overlook warning signs. In retrospect, that should have been a red flag. Marcus agrees while holding his boyfriend's hand. Everything about Anon is a red flag. We just chose to ignore them. Veronica has the brutal honesty of a true friend. I'm right here and can hear you all roasting me. Protest weekly. We know, that's why we're doing it. Jake has the cruelty of someone who finds my suffering amusing. At the diner, we order too much food as usual and continue talking about nothing important but everything that matters in the moment. Someone brings up the question of whether we would have become friends without the elaborate lie that brought us together. Probably not. I avoid social situations normally. Admit with honesty about my hermit tendencies. Same. I don't usually make friends with my coworkers. Veronica agrees while eating fries. I definitely wouldn't have met Sarah without the gallery event. Add while she leans against my shoulder. So your disaster actually created something good, even if the process was unnecessarily complicated. Marcus summarizes with philosophy major energy. That's a very generous interpretation of me being an idiot. Accept the framing because it makes me feel better. We sit in that diner until closing time, talking and laughing about old stories and making plans for future hangouts that we'll actually follow through on. The staff starts giving us looks that suggest we should leave, so we pay and head out into the night with the satisfaction of people who found their group. Same time next month. Sarah confirms our monthly diner tradition that started from chaos but became structure. Obviously, we need to continue our debate about whether Death Note's ending was good or a cop-out. Jake starts the next argument. We argue about Death Note for 15 minutes in the parking lot before finally going our separate ways home. Sarah and I drive back to our apartment while she plays her band's new demos from her phone connected to the car stereo. This one is about you, she mentions casually while a song plays about someone making everything complicated but being worth it anyway. I'm immortalized in indie rock as the guy who makes terrible decisions. Observe with pride that probably isn't warranted. Could be worse, at least the song is catchy. Sarah has the practicality of someone who knows marketing matters more than accuracy. We get home and spend the rest of the night watching anime we've both seen before but enjoy rewatching together, which feels like actual domestic bliss. Remember when your life was boring before you pretended to be gay? Sarah asks during an episode break. I had so much free time and so little stress, but also no friends and no relationship, so the trade-off seems worth it. Reflect with genuine gratitude. Next time, just try talking to people like a normal human, though. She suggests with the hope that I'll learn from experience. No promises, but I'll try. Know that I'll probably create some new elaborate problem in the future through poor communication. Life is weird and complicated, and I definitely took the most difficult path to get here. But sitting on the couch with Sarah watching Cowboy Bebop for the 20th time feels right. Sometimes the worst plans work out because of luck, friendship, and people who tolerate your nonsense long enough for you to figure things out. Or maybe I just have incredible friends who are patient with disaster humans. Either way, I'll take it. That feeling when you pretended to be gay to avoid a coworker. That feeling when you fake dated her cousin for 3 months. That feeling when everyone knew you were lying except you. That feeling when your elaborate scheme led to actual meaningful relationships. That feeling when the girl you were avoiding was never actually interested romantically. That feeling when your fake boyfriend came out as actually bisexual. That feeling when you met your actual girlfriend through this chaos. My face when I took the most complicated route to basic human connection. My face when it somehow worked out despite my best efforts to sabotage everything. My face when I'm living proof that you can make every wrong decision and still end up happy.
She kept hitting on me at work every single day. Asked my friend for help, he said just tell her you're gay. Worst advice I ever took, but I committed to the lie. Now I'm her gay best friend and I don't know why. She set me up with her cousin Marcus on a date. Both straight guys trapped in Veronica's fate. Started fake dating to keep up the show. How do I escape from this? I don't know. I pretended to be gay to avoid her. Now my life's a sitcom I can't ignore. Fake boyfriend, fake dates, elaborate schemes. Living in a lie is harder than it seems. Yeah, I pretended just to make her go away, but the plan backfired in every single way. Met her family at parties playing the part. Marcus and I planned our fake relationship start. Then I met Sarah at some art gallery show. She's into me, but I can't let it show. Got feelings for a girl while pretending to be gay. My fake boyfriend says, dude, you gotta find a way. Everyone's invested in the lie I created. This is the most complicated situation I've ever dated. I pretended to be gay to avoid her. Now my life's a sitcom I can't ignore. Fake boyfriend, fake dates, elaborate schemes. Living in a lie is harder than it seems. Yeah, I pretended just to make her go away, but the plan backfired in every single way. Veronica knew the whole time I was faking it. She was messing with me, watching me commit. Marcus came out as actually bi through this mess. My terrible plan created something I confess. Sarah found out and she laughed at my disaster. Said you're an idiot, but that just makes me like you faster. 2 years later we're all friends somehow. The fake gay thing is just a funny story now. I pretended to be gay to avoid her. Made my life chaotic from the core, but fake relationships led to real friends. Sometimes the worst plans have the best ends. Yeah, I pretended like an absolute fool, but I broke every communication rule and somehow came out better than before. The worst idea